Croeso and welcome to Beyond the Track podcast. My name is James C, coach, commentator, lecturer and endurance runner.
And I am Jenny Long, GB distance runner.
We'll be going beyond the track, speaking to the athletes about their stories and also the very best of the sports professionals in Wales and beyond.
We hope you will leave each episode feeling better informed and more inspired about athletics and running in Wales.
So it's welcome back to Beyond the Track. My name's James C.
And I'm Jenny Long.
And we're hoping to bring a bit of sunshine in what is a pretty wet and miserable time pretty much up and down the country. So, Jen, I saw your post yesterday about the number of running shoes that are against the radiator trying to dry off.
It's a nightmare.
How's that working out for you?
It's a nightmare. You walk in, it stinks of like wet feet to start with, and then there's just like a queue of trainers under like this tiny little radiator trying to dry them all. It's not good.
So on rotation probably to try and keep dry between your double days. So how is training going for your next marathon?
Oh, it's been a bit tricky actually in the last sort of 10 days. I had a bit of a shin problem that kind of flared up. Looked like I had a mini sausage around my ankle. Went and had an MRI scan, thought I had a stress fracture.
Oh, wow.
I didn't.
Good.
It's all come back clear. There's no problem with my bone, no problem with my tendon, no problem with my muscle.
What was the sausage then?
But we don't know why there's the sausage. So
Okay.
there's still a bit of a sausage, but I'm back running.
Is it a chipolata now?
It's a little chipolata now. So we're hoping like over the next sort of week it sort of clears. I mean, like I did like 30k on it yesterday. It felt all right.
So I did 30k on it. So hopefully.
So fingers crossed it's okay. It's just like, it's different when you're running easy versus when you're trying to like do marathon specific stuff. But I still got 9 weeks, so I'm hopeful.
Okay. You left me home alone last week. I had to do a preview.
I know, I'm sorry.
Talk to myself for 25 minutes, which is,
It's pretty rough, that, isn't it?
I felt sorry for the audience out there. So where were you last week?
I was in London, so it was nice. I managed to do about 3/4 of my session in Battersea Park before I decided my shin was a bit sore, so I packed it in then. But managed to take the mind off things whilst going around London. Went to see Wicked at the theatre.
Was it Wicked?
It was Wicked.
Good.
It was Wicked. And experienced some nice food and wine. So let my hair down last weekend.
Nice. Well, I did the Tremorfa Park run on Saturday morning, and
was that wet, windy?
It was. There's a water jump midway through each lap. So
a real one or one that's been produced recently?
They talk about it being a foot spa. Is the joke, the common joke, and because anytime it rains there, which is now.
Every day.
Much every single day in Wales. You have to literally go through, and I did it about 3 weeks ago, and I could steeplechase it, and I got some applause.
People out there with the cameras getting the angles, were
This time, you had to go straight through it. There was no way round. But I had the text message saying that I'd run 1 second faster than I did 3 weeks ago. So who says, that I...
Was it shorter course this time round? Or?
That was harder because of the longer, bigger puddles. So, but I'll take that. And that took me on then, and we will come to that, to the Welsh Athletics Senior Champs and under 17s in Paris.
You had a busy weekend.
Commentating at. But we've got a number of performances from that to go through. But it is a weekend that the Utilita Arena in Birmingham hosted 2026 Novuna UK Athletics Indoor Championships. So high stakes. Obviously, it's a World Indoor Championships. Chatting to Jez at the weekend. He's obviously, talking up. It's strange, obviously, World Indoor Champion last year.
It's very, it never happens, does it? You have them
he's back into
World
Indoors. World Indoors again. And obviously, they're going to fight for those places for Turan in Poland in March. Jen, British Indoors, have you tread the boards?
I have, but only once,
Once,
Yeah.
okay,
And it's actually probably one of my biggest regrets was the 2022 year when it was Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
I had the standard for the World Indoor Champs that year in the 3K.
Yeah, you run the fast,
it was like
8:48.
And I missed it. I foregoed the champs to concentrate on going and running a faster 5K in America. And I think that was probably my biggest regret because I feel like I didn't give myself the opportunity to try and make the team. But I did go and do British Indoors 2024.
Yeah.
And I just missed out on a medal. Came third.
Super close.
But that was a really fun race and a really fun event, actually, having it kind of in Birmingham in that arena. It's like slightly different to like going to like into Nyack or somewhere where it's actually built up and it's really cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what happens this weekend. I think indoors always brings like an element of surprise as well. You don't quite know what everyone's kind of agenda is. Like, what are people really targeting? Like, off the back of like World Champs last year as well. It was quite late on. Like, what are people's plans kind of going forward this year?
Seems like we've not a long indoor program. A few people obviously raced a couple of times. Some haven't raced at all. And that, for some people, is going to be the end of their indoor programme.
Exactly. So, and it clashes with Bucks as well, doesn't it?
Bucks,
so we've got Bucks next weekend, or this weekend coming as well, which does mix it up a little bit. And I was having this conversation with you just before we started recording. Like, what would you choose to do if you aren't perhaps guaranteed a spot, or you haven't got a standard for the World Indoor Champs, but you could perhaps finish on the podium at Bucks? Which one are you choosing to do? Like, where are you going? So.
I think it's really tough. I think, if you've got a chance to be competitive in, obviously, the senior champs, obviously a senior championship medal trumps a British Universities medal, but it'd be a shame for people to go and get knocked out in the heats just to make up the numbers when they could be super competitive. And even, universities thrive off the top 8 points.
Yeah.
And also, you want it to be the best possible competition because it's a great stepping stone. The fact it's on the same weekend, for me, I don't like it. I think it should be a pathway where you have the opportunity to do both.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I said last week on the pod, but I don't like where our Welsh champs sits too close to the British champs as well, because I think that diluted it. So that whole, 9 days, you've got 3 championships, and actually most athletes are picking one. Because it's very difficult. You can't do
like if I was
3 of them, because that's almost impossible unless your event doesn't clash and you've got a shot putter might be able to do just about if it's not on the same day.
But then you've got to think about like travel and logistics that come around that as well. I think it's really hard.
But also for coaches as well, and because you're split now in loyalties between athletes at certain champs, and also just like an indoor season that is so now kind of like condensed. And I think that it's a shame. Obviously, we're asking athletes to go to a World Championships in March, and actually we should have a pathway that kind of mirrors that for athletes that aren't there yet, just so they get used to having full indoor seasons rather than it ending in middle of Feb. Indoor season's gone. There's not that many meets. We've got no more in Cardiff.
No.
I think there's maybe one more in Lee Valley, I think off the top of my head, on the 18th. That's in, obviously, there might be 1 or 2 in Scotland, but there's not much left.
Not a lot. Not a lot of
back
options.
To road. Back to cross country.
Back to cross country. That's what we want. And James, what about you? I mean, I'm dying to ask you this question, but have you ever done a British Indoor Champs?
Well, funny you should ask that, Jen. So, no, we were joking, myself and Josie, before coming in here, who, the question when it was written down was, come on, I've done a few in the past. So, no, I for those that don't know, once upon a time, my livelihood, my day-to-day job was pretty much running indoors.
Is that where you thrived?
Oh, I loved it. I love the...
Preferred it to the outdoor
Yeah,
track?
Well, there's a few factors to it before I go into my results at the British Indoor Champs. So I've got one leg longer than the other. So, and guess which leg is longer than the other?
The outside leg?
No, because if you run on an indoor track, with the bank of a track, my left leg is longer. So the shorter leg...
So you're basically running on a flat track when you run
so
on
I'm
banks.
mechanically sound going around the bank of a track. Also, when I had, sports-induced asthma back in the day, and cold weather and pollen absolutely killed me. And so indoors, a controlled environment, obviously I thrived. And then come May, when pollen hit me, it was as if, I couldn't breathe. And so, I found that the indoor environment, I just love the banks. And I was a Cardiff Met student with a halls of residence overlooking the Kincoid, Nyack track.
You had no excuse then, did you?
Being built. My halls of residence looked at the track in 2000 being built. So to have a track, literally on my doorstep. So we were very lucky in Cardiff at that point of time that you could hone your skills and obviously train on the indoor track. And
is Cardiff one of 5 indoor tracks in the UK?
Yeah, but it's still the only campus-based
track,
fully functional 200-metre track. The only one that can host, a full indoor comp.
Yeah,
we've got lots of universities or lots of arena, places with straights, jumps pits, throws areas. But for us to have the bank track, but also the accessibility of it as well. It's in the heart of the city, and it offers its to us. Yourself, when you dabbled in the old indoors, to have races and training and to be able to control that environment.
Oh, especially in the winter, like the weather has been, like even if you just want to get in some quality work, even if you're not doing an indoor season, just ahead of the outdoor season, it's a massive advantage.
Yeah, it sets you up. But let's go back to UK indoor medals. So I think I would have done a bit more homework for this. So I think I medalled pre-Nyack. So I think I got a bronze in the 1500. I think it was 98. So that was my first senior medal. So, so that was a good start.
We're going back a bit here, aren't we?
Yeah,
what were the pre-Super Spike era?
Super Spikes were a thing of distant, memory, not memories, but dreams, Jen. So, we're talking minimal spikes here. So, so that was my first senior medal. And then I ended up taking the British title in 2003. So that qualified for World Indoors in Birmingham.
Okay.
So
where was the trial? Was that also in Birmingham?
Yeah, in Birmingham.
Okay.
So that was great. So to win the World Indoor Trials with the World qualifying time, a new Welsh record. That's pretty good. I was quite happy with that. It was pretty good.
Good day out, that.
Yeah, it was a good day out. So qualified for that. And then 2005, I stepped down and did the, what should I do? I did the 800 metres and I got a bronze medal in the 800. So bronze medalist in the 800. And then 2006, I was mixing around different distances. I got knocked out in the heats of the 800 on one day, came back and won the 3,000 metres the next day. Okay. So I don't know whether there's too many people that got 3 national medals.
That's
at
pretty,
3 different distances. So, and I had a few other silver medals thrown in there just
for good measure.
For good measure as well. So yeah, I love the British champs. It was always one that, kind of set up, kind of that, whether it was a championship. I did European indoors in Birmingham as well in 2007. So I was lucky to do a Worlds and the Europeans in Birmingham. So I've got a real kind of soft spot for that track, for indoor running, and yeah, the British champs. So I'll be watching that British champs with a keen eye, and especially those middle distances.
Does a little bit of you wish you could go back and compete there this weekend?
Yeah, the British champs. Yeah, I'm still. I won a British Masters title, Jen. Did I tell you about
I was
that?
wondering when that was going to be
in Cardiff. In Cardiff. So a couple of weeks ago, the British Masters 3,000 metre champs were in Cardiff, and I won my British title back in 2006 seniors. I won the under 20 British title outdoors in 1996, and so I thought 2026, let's go and win a Masters title. So, and I won British Universities in 2013, but because it didn't end in the 6, it didn't quite ring.
Didn't quite, it doesn't sound as good, does it?
I've got British Masters 1,500 and 800 in a couple of weeks in February, so up in Lee Valley. So
we'll have to report
spikes
back
are still on.
Yeah,
but
how
as
that
the senior British champs, Jen, they are never to be. And yeah, I think other than Tony Whiteman, I can't think of anyone of an age that should be or has been
at the
even
champs.
Competitive at that. So yeah, tell me otherwise if it is. So, but yeah, I have fond memories, love that. But now it's more about coaching and getting athletes. And yeah, I've had, again, lucky to have athletes win titles and win medals at British champs, which gives me even more pleasure than being there myself.
And as for our athletes, we've got a whole load of them going over to Birmingham this weekend for the British Indoor Champs. A few actually kind of warmed up over in Nyack this weekend. The Welsh Champs just gone. So yeah, what are we looking forward to? What's going on? Well,
Jeremiah, obviously that indoor season last year, and having him on the pod, he took over the social media. I don't know if you saw it. I
thought it was fantastic. I was saying to Josie actually, I was like, it was great.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. And obviously, he literally took us around the arena. I watched it back on Saturday night.
Just because you were missing being in there. You've been
there
all day. You thought,
Jez is infectious, and he's got such a personality, and he's got many, many more years to be running fast. But when he is done and hangs up those spikes, he's going to be a personality,
absolutely,
off the track and media-wise, and obviously his YouTube channel's going through the roof. That's great. Watch it if you get a chance. But obviously that pathway last year, where he did the Welsh champs, British champs, and that took him to a European and World final. I had the chance to give him a quick chat trackside, and he's as bubbly, he's as excited as ever. And I think that he's going to British champs. And I mean, if you are a European and World champion, you almost, it's almost putting yourself on the line at British champs, not unnecessarily, because we've got some really good sprinters, but there's
an element of pressure that comes with that.
There's a bit of pressure. Yeah. Just he can only really lose at the weekend, and obviously he's got to make sure he's in that top 2 to book his place.
And it's 60 metres. It's a lot to happen in a very short period of time.
And there's some good guys still bubbling around it, and he won't have it all his own way. I mean, we're still very lucky in this country that we've got some real depth over the 60 metres. But Jez, championship race, he's obviously done some good races on the circuit already. Been beaten by a Brit on the circuit as well, so that kind of shows you how good the standard is. But I think for Jez, British champs, he wants to be top spot, and that sets him up then for retaining his title in Poland.
Absolutely. And I think it'll be really good to kind of see how he does on the weekend and how he kind of approaches it. Is he going I don't know, I would maybe go into it I just need to be top 2. That's my podium. But maybe for him, it's I need to win this. I want that sort of confidence boost going into the world champs as well.
Well, it'd be strange for him to get beaten in the championship final, having won all 4 of them last year. So, but I tell you what, he will have. He's going to have a load of his training partners around him, and I know he thrives off that atmosphere in the warm-up area. in and out of the heats, the semi-finals. Obviously, his brother Alex Azu ran well in the weekend, over 60 metres as well. Sam Gordon, who also looked really good, looked almost back to his best.
Mm-hmm. He won the Welsh 60-metre title, didn't he?
I was so impressed with Sam because he's just, him and Dowie Hammond, and the two of them have been battling for years and years. And 60 metres and sprinting is brutal on the body. The forces those guys are applying, and he's still there. You've got some good youngsters coming through, the likes of Luca Lo Fonseca. You've got the Welsh Athletics Transition Programme sprinter Lewis Stevens. So I mean, we've got some youngsters coming through, and what a better pathway and what a better role model. I don't think there is than Jeremiah.
That's the best you can have, really, isn't it? Kind of watching what he does and how he approaches championships, I think, really.
It's so open. I just thought it was lovely because obviously we had the under-17 champs and the Paras at the weekend, and the fact that Jez is just walking around, chatting to everyone, whether you were a coach, a spectator, whether you were an official, he was there, accessible, whereas not everyone does that. And
no.
In our world of sporting greats, he's just so humble that you just wouldn't believe that the sort of level of kind of intensity when that gun goes, it's just so different to
what he's like
during the day, isn't it? And when he came in here in the pod, he was just so down to earth, and but when that gun goes, you wouldn't want to get in his way.
And among others that are confirmed kind of down to compete over the weekend, we've got Abby Paulett, who was also competing at the Welsh Champs, just gone in the hurdles. And
she was impressive.
2
times breaking the championship record.
She's pretty good going, really, isn't it?
I mean, like the 49th edition of the Welsh Senior Champs. So, so in 49 years, the 60-metre hurdles would have been in almost every one of those because, and it would have, been super competitive through the years. Yeah. She was just outside a lifetime best. I think her lifetime best 8:09. I think she was 8:13 or 8:14. Okay. But way inside the championship record.
And coming back from the World Champs last year, where obviously the hurdles didn't go quite the way she wanted them to, getting back in an arena and competing over the hurdles and it going well and getting that confidence back. It's probably a big element of what she was trying to achieve on the weekend gone, leading into the British Champs as well.
I'll tell you what was really important as well. It showed how we need to try and get the top athletes to our Welsh Champs because the athletes behind were all pulled to fast times.
Yeah.
And that's why it's fundamental that we try and find the best place in the programme, in the calendar. Obviously it worked for Abby, so so that was good and that was great that it fitted for her, but you just saw the other athletes raise their games, and when you got the likes of Abby on the start line at the competition, we almost need the likes of Abby, whoever they are in each of our showcase events to be there, because I think it just helps raise the bar and helps raise the profile of the events as well.
Also gives people a bit more motivation to perhaps go and compete. If you are down for an event where you feel like perhaps there's not a lot of competition around you, and what are you actually gaining from this, you're probably less likely to turn up. But if you've got people like Abby there, you're like, actually, I'm going for a competition. I'm going to be able to practice X, Y, and Z that I need to kind of do before I go to British Champs.
Agreed. And Sabina Fortune, who you mentioned as well, or mentioned on she's been on the pod. She didn't hit the distances that she wanted to hit. Ryan Spencer-Jones sent me a message the night before just saying, look, she's had lots of illness. It's not really been the best build-up to this championship. So, because I was last week hyping up the potential of that Commonwealth B standard. But just shows you again, that athletes come back from the real highs of a World Championships, which she did in October. And there has to be a bit of a lull. You have to kind of recover, rest. And it's not a linear line, is it, Jen?
Not at all. And I think athletes are quite private people a lot of the time, and we don't as onlookers know perhaps what's going on behind the scenes, and we just expect progression on progression on progression, and it doesn't ever happen like that. If you look at anyone who's an Olympic champion or a world champion, they've all had setbacks. They've all had years where it's not gone to plan. And I think it's for her to kind of turn up, compete, still get a solid performance on the board. That's really important, especially going into kind of this year where she is looking for that B standard for the Commonwealth Games in an event that is an able-bodied event
100%.
As well, which is super impressive.
I mean, obviously that F20 world record, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And the fact she's been at the very top of her para event, as you say, trying now to bridge that gap to the able-bodied qualification. I hope it's seen in a positive way and it doesn't put too much pressure on her.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, that sometimes you've got to put the work in, and to absorb that, sometimes you need comps where it doesn't always go to plan. It's a lot of technical element to throw in, and obviously if you're slightly fatigued going in. But look, I hope she and her team have really good next couple of months. And it really does. It can turn around.
It can. Like,
so
it can be
quickly.
there, and you just need that one day where everything slots into place, and you're like, right, we're back at it now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and we were talking or joking about the weather as well. It's tough for athletes right now. If you're not always training indoors and some outdoor sessions, but there's a good need to get away for some training camps, right?
Absolutely. I could do anything for the sun right now. It'd be great.
So there was obviously, Abby Paula, incredible to watch, Jen, in terms of that hurdles and, 2 championship bests. So, I mean, in terms of her season now, she was due to do the high jump as well, but she only did the hurdles in our champs. So, it's exciting having someone of that talent. I mean, she could have picked any one of 7 events and been super competitive, right?
No, absolutely. And I think for her, it's probably, like I said, getting that confidence back in the hurdles. I feel like as an athlete, that is a major component of performing well, is actually the confidence. That the fitness can be there, the shape can be there, but actually you need to have the confidence. So I think for her, that's looking really good ahead of this weekend, and I think she'll be really competitive. Yeah,
and talking about the weekend, she's 100s off the UK lead. What do you expect to see at the British Champs? Can she go top spot? I mean, hurdles seems to be her...
It's her bread and butter, isn't it? Like, it's her strong event, and I think absolutely no reason why she can't get in that top spot. I think again, like, anything can happen in these events, and like, you can go into these events in the shape of your life, and it's just not your day, or there's someone who just happens to be better than you on the day. And I think for her, it's probably just going there and executing the perfect race that she can execute, and by doing so, I don't see why she can't make it onto the podium or onto the top spot of that podium.
And she's such a great hurdler to watch. We were lucky on Friday. She was warming up pre-comp with Ashley Bryant, a coach, and we had our level 5 university students just doing their athletics, and it was just turn and watch. And again, that's the quality of having that luxury of having athletes come to Nyack and watch that. And hurdles for me is when athletes make it look so easy, because those hurdles are, with your steeplechase days, Jen, or your attempts.
Well, my attempt at the steeplechase.
No, but you did hurdle drills, you hurdle runs.
Honestly,
and if it doesn't come natural to you, but it's so sapping, and it's such a technical event. Talking 10 flights of hurdles.
The timing is so important to get right. Like they make it look so easy, which is so hard, because then when you look at it and you watch it, you're like, wow, that doesn't look that hard. Like, I'm pretty sure I could, I look at the steeplechase, I was like, I'm pretty sure I can get over a barrier. It's not that hard. You go and do it, and it's a completely different ball game. And I think especially for the hurdles, it's so quick. It's the forces you're kind of putting through your body, the timing you're trying to get right. It's an incredible skill to have.
And those 10 flights, she's gone sub 13 outdoors. Slightly less hurdles, less distance indoors. And I tell you what, the British title might take a time in low 8 seconds. And when you're running 8.1 and you've already run 8.09, and that was 12 months ago, she's made big strides through the summer. Well, I think she can get close to breaking 8, and that I know for elite women hurdling is like one of those benchmarks.
Absolutely.
But if you can get in the 7s, then that's something very, very special.
For sure. And James, we have to talk about Izzy Boffin.
Oh, we do. I mean, it was such a we've been talking about her for so long, and her performances around the 2-minute mark. But again, as athletes and coaches, consistency. We always say to people that consistency builds the platform to a big performance.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's something I've always been reminded of throughout my career, is it's those consistent performances that lead to the breakthrough. And I had many examples where I just knocking my head against the wall, like, why can I not run faster than this every single time, running the same time? And then suddenly, like, oh wow, like, big breakthrough. And I think this was her breakthrough, and it was an incredible thing to watch. I went back and watched it about 3 times. I love watching the races at Boston as well. And I mean, that track, it is special. It is a fast track, but I think it's the environment or the competition that's built around it for the athletes there in Boston. That everyone's going there with one agenda, and that is to run fast. And she ran the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix the week before. Ran about 2 flat there, I think, and then came back and won 57.43.
Okay, here's a question for you, Jen. How special is that track? Because obviously there are certain things that can be kind of aided to tracks, obviously the bends, the surface. I know that they've thought about almost everything with that track.
Yeah.
How much of a, obviously it's a legal performance aid, but what do you reckon it's worth in comparison to other tracks?
I really think with that track in Boston is you have to be fit there to get the advantage.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you go there and you're not really in shape and you're hoping the track's going to give you the performance you want, it's not going to happen.
Oh, damn. I cancelled booking my flight now. Damn, okay.
I think if you're going there in great shape,
Yeah.
you're going to get every single ounce you can out
It's almost
of yourself.
like the perfect.
It's the perfect.
Okay, so a bit like almost a Valencia marathon.
Absolutely.
On
the track.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or Valencia race. It's not Valencia marathon. Valencia racing with the 10K and halves. Yeah.
And like the organisers, they're so athlete centred. Like Izzy or whoever else was in that race would have requested a pace. That have found someone perfect to go and pace that to that.
Well,
so whatever
she beat the American record holder, as in the athlete that finished second broke the American record. I mean, that's how good a performance.
And actually beat her the week before.
Wow,
in the New Balance games.
New Balance meet, yeah.
So
what I love also about the meet there, and we don't do it here. We do a bit at the Tonopani Track Classic, is have people on the infield and people running around cheering,
yelling.
What's that like? Because obviously, we don't often have that in the UK. It's very sterile, our infield. Does that again add to a little bit of the kind of magic? I know it's pretty much in most US tracks, but again, if you've got the perfect storm,
I think
of Boston,
so. It really does remind me of road racing, because obviously when you're road racing, the crowds can get pretty much up in your face, and it's very much like that. Especially on an indoor track, it's 200 meters. Like if you really want to, you can get from like lots of different points of the track within a space of 400 meters.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things together really enable the best performance you can give on the day.
And let's put context to the time. So 1:53:43.
1:57.
Oh, sorry, let's start again.
I mean, that would be even insane.
Well, the world record for men was set recently. So 1:57:43. Let's get there in the end. And obviously, that's the second fastest of all time in the UK, behind Keely Hodgkinson.
Which,
that's pretty special. It's still the world lead after a very special debut last night by Fenke Bol. So 1:49:03, Dutch national record. That's exciting for the event of 800 metres, and it's going to be interesting to see if Fenke goes to World Indoors, because that will be one of the most watched events. But what happens to happen first is, Izzy has to go to the British Champs the weekend. The likes of Gemma Reekie, who's a world silver medalist herself from Glasgow World Indoors. So it's going to be competitive. She has to book a place in that team. Are you excited about her obviously going to Birmingham, booking a place hopefully, and then Worlds?
I think for Izzy, like, Birmingham is her home city now. That's where she trained. She's been to Birmingham University. Like, she's going to have all her friends, all her family there, and I think she thrives off that sort of thing. She's obviously going to go into it with a lot of confidence. She's ranked number 1 in the world this year. Currently, second on the British all-time list, 8th on the world all-time list, I think. I don't see any reason why she wouldn't be going into that race thinking she can win it. And I think the way...
But Keely's running. So, Keely hasn't raced yet this year.
No.
And coming off, obviously, the Potterstream training camp where a whole group, you had Georgia Hunter-Bell opening with 4 flat. Other athletes in the group have opened pretty well. That's a fascinating British champ.
It's a fascinating
The fact that
British
you could have... You're going to miss... One athlete's going to miss out.
And they're probably going to still run...
From Gemma, from Izzy.
Sub-2.
Yeah, you're talking you could run 1:58.
And not make the team.
You're not going to Worlds.
Yeah.
That in itself, I think that at the weekend is, I think, one of the showcase events, because you've just got medals, world leads, and someone's going to end disappointed.
I think Izzy runs very smart. Like, if you watch her race, she's never out there. She knows how to run her own race. Yeah. And I think that will be an advantage to her going into British Champs. She's got a really good last 200 metres.
I was going to say, she's in a really good place, and confidence could not be higher. So other Welsh stars to look out for is the siblings that we had on the screen with us. We had Joe and Hannah Breyer. Obviously, Joe himself, he's won medals at the 4x4s indoors, so experienced himself. But Hannah herself as well, she's part of that World GB 4x4 squad. At the weekend, she was impressive. Over 200 metres, we were watching the heats, and she just ate the track up, and she went sub 24 seconds in the heats. that was a championship best performance, and then went even faster. And 23.7 in Nyack. That would have made, I think, would have made the semi-finals, I think, of the men's 200 metres. The only disappointment I had, and I was going to ask you about this, is doing the heats semi-final and then not running the final. Are you a fan of that?
No. I think like if you're going to go and do a champs, you've got to commit to doing the full thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the plan you've got, the plan should involve the final, because you don't go to a British champs and not run the final. So why are you not practicing going through those processes?
Yeah.
Even if that means like she doesn't run full out in the final. Like,
I kind of think the first round, I think that, I don't know, from a coaching perspective, this is not a criticism, this is just an observation. And again, it's more basically to showcase that the gold medal should go to the best Welsh athlete there on the day, which is Hannah by almost a country mile. So she could have cruised 25 seconds in that first round. Almost like a tempo run. For those out there, different type of tempo.
The tempo we do.
Sprinting tempo. Not our long distance tempo. As a warm up, almost like a little bit of a primer. Hit the semi-finals and then hit the final. And I would have loved to have seen that 23.7 in a final. But I do get, not diluting yourself. I do get obviously running the risk of multiple warming up. And obviously you have to think bigger picture as well.
Or do the champs then accommodate that by like giving her a bye for the heats?
Yes.
Then go straight to the semis?
That's a really good shout, Jen. I think maybe there comes a point, a case in point, that certain Welsh athletes that are as good as that, almost, unless they want that run, Abby in the heats of the hurdles, wants a run to get a run. The back-to-back races love that, especially over 60. So you might want to opt in or opt out. For the 200 metres to run the first round. Is that really needed? Maybe they thought maybe there was only going to be 2 rounds originally. But it's one of those, I think that we'll feed that back to the comp directors. So for that. And Ewan Coney himself, who's now going to UK Athletics. So stepping back from what would have been another busy big championship weekend. And he's straight into organising this British
he'll know what he's doing now, won't
he? He'll know what he's doing. So, but Hannah alongside the likes of Sian Harry, Tess McHugh, Louisa Stoney, I think it's Charlotte Henrich. And I tell you what, Fionn Mayer Roberts, what a performance at the weekend in the 400 metres, beating Hannah Breyer's championship record by, I think it was 100th of a second. And I know Fionn well because she ran in our Cardiff Met teams for many years. And she was always indoors an absolute fighter. She loved the rounds. She was always so competitive. And again, indoors seems to suit her. And, to run low 54 seconds on that track, but also to drag those behind to fast times. Again, championship best performances. And Hannah's time...
It's not like a sniff in the... do you know what I mean? Like, that's an impressive
Hannah threw down
time.
a good time with that. And I'm trying to remember if she actually ran all the rounds that day. So, Fionn to go through the rounds and to break the record. That, for me, almost was one of the performances of the day. Because you kind of expected Abby... kind of expected, Hannah. But for Fionn to break that record, that was one. So her at the weekend, I think, in that fast Birmingham track, often athletes have gone a second faster, from Nyack to Birmingham. So if that starts to put her 53 seconds, if she gets inside 53 seconds, you're not that far away from potential top 6. Top 6 go to a world indoors. So that's super exciting. So I think Roberts and Harry
definitely
also down
to watch
for 200 as well. But definitely wants to watch as well. So and again, another one over 2 laps. Youngster that we have talked about recently and previously is Darcy Coslet. Again, she'd be having watched these and breaking the under 17 indoor record at the championships last year. How much of a step up is that, but also having the Welsh contingent around her?
I think the Welsh contingent around her probably plays a big role. I think she trains a lot with Hannah.
Yes.
So obviously you've got someone like a great role model to look up to and learn from, which I can think only can benefit her going into big competitions.
100%. And then it's Rhys Middleton, the Welsh champion, goes alongside Olympian Joe Bryan, those 400 metre heats. And it's been interesting to see how Joe goes because he's obviously, I haven't seen him racing too much indoors. He's been really, very, very competitive indoors previously. But, it's tough when you had a bit of time away. The last kind of 18 months probably haven't gone how he would have wanted. He's had a few injuries. So it's an interesting one. Again, as we said, people opening up at British Champs and, that kind of unknown.
Yeah, it's a tough place to open up a season, I think. And I think maybe maybe for Jo, like it's a no pressure sort of situation. We're going in, we're seeing where we're at with training, and then we're going to take whatever we learn into the summer. I think it really does depend like how athletes are approaching these sort of things.
I think the one thing that anyone opening up indoors is guaranteed of, not obviously a season's best, but the indoor lung.
Yeah, so, the track hack, I think we like to call it.
Yeah, so, if you've ever met anyone that's run an indoor race prior and you thought they were normal, and then after they sounded like they were smoking 50 a day.
There's a reason for that.
It's like nothing else.
I think the worst track I've run in is Ocean Breeze, New York.
Okay.
I have never experienced track hack like it in my life. For about 2 days, like my throat was burning. Well,
the first time I raced in Madison Square Garden, I think you could still smoke in the arena. So track hack. So it was like smoking 50 a day. So inhaling that. But there's something different about racing indoors. Even if you train loads indoors, I think racing, takes you to another level.
Yeah.
That the lungs, you lie in bed literally coughing, and you think like,
is it worth it?
I'm in the best shape of my life, but I sound like I'm an 80, 90-year-old, on my deathbed. So there's some others to look out for. Which I don't know whether are they going to have track lung.
I was going to say,
60 meters?
Do you get track hack as a 60-meter runner? We'll need someone to tell us.
We didn't ask Jez. We should have asked Jez.
But we've got Nal Desir and Jessica Mantle. They're both going in the women's 60 meters. Both seem to be in good form going into the championships.
Well, Nell especially, yeah.
She ran a 7:34 in Sheffield at the weekend. Wow. So, I mean, that's got to get you a spot in the final, surely, or there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, again, sprinting, women, it's so strong in Britain. But I mean, when you're running 7:34 at the junior champs, Sheffield's a quick track, but I still think Birmingham will be slightly quicker.
And the atmosphere, there's a lot of other things you've got to take into.
Yeah, but that for a young athlete can be a driver.
Yeah.
But also it can be a little bit intimidating as well. I think the pressure should be off now.
Yeah.
Having won her British title and obviously ran as fast as she has, going into that now. And I think the same for Jess Mantle as well. But it's going to be interesting, to see whether Jess chooses that or British universities. There's a few in that boat. That's their choices, that's their decisions.
Yeah, and that goes back to our kind of opening conversation.
But you've got Dina Asher-Smith, Daryl Nita, Amy Hunt. That's the quality again. Maybe going almost close to that 800 metres quality and depth. And again, that'd be great to see the best of British on show. But again, imagine your Nell and Jess lining up with Dina inside you. That's gotta pull you along. That's so cool. I mean, that's
so cool. I as a junior growing up, getting into any sort of race with what I considered the best athletes in Britain was amazing. The night of the 10,000 metres for me was that. I'm lining up against people who are trying to go to the Olympics. Beth Potter was in my race in 2016 or whatever. That was so cool.
Yeah. It's got to drive you on. And another person at the end of the kind of speed spectrum, Commonwealth Games medalist, multiple British medalist, Bethan Davis lines up in the 3,000 metre walk. And I've seen Bethan on the indoor track because I've been doing a few sessions as well. And she's still out there, still getting it done. Obviously starting a family, working, for Welsh Athletics super hard. She's a great role model, isn't she?
Such a great role model. I actually saw her yesterday. Training, yeah.
View Park?
Yes, yeah. So she's out there, she's putting in the miles. And I think it's so great to see her kind of back competing again. She was quite open about kind of how hard it was around her pregnancy and her birth and returning to the sport. And I think, for a lot of female athletes, it's great to see people return, enjoy it, kind of get back to where they were at and kind of take kind of what comes along with that as well. And kind of it's not you can do it all in a year's sort of thing. It's this is a long progression getting back to where you are or were at. And I think Bethan's a great example of that, and it's so good to see her.
Yeah, and also the height she's hit, and I do, I myself have a lot of, sort of admiration for people that just stay in the game. Yeah. Because it's easy to step off and it's easy to step away. But I think also for the walks as well, to have the likes of Bethan there as role models still for those young athletes coming through, but also showing that even if you're not going to be at your peak, that there's still something to be fought for out there. And the fact she's still getting the training in, which I know myself helps with my kind of balance of life.
Absolutely.
Getting slower week by week, day by day. But there's the feel of it still feels the same. Even though I need to get the indoor track measured at Nike, it seems to be getting longer, and my watch seems to be getting faster. And I don't know if there's someone out there that can sort something out for me, because those two factors are seemingly against me. So and everything hurts more the next day as well. So yeah, not
someone
great.
who's probably not got that problem though is Ava Lloyd.
I hope not.
She's also down to race the women's 1500 meters this weekend. I think she opened up her season last week. Over the 1500,
I think she ran PB,
4:07, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how she gets on. She was at the European cross country champs in the relay.
Yes.
So she's
obviously such a talent. Obviously part of that M11 track club.
Like you got the likes of
Jenny Meadows, but then the athletes
within within that group. I think she's got so much opportunity for progression. She's really talented junior, and she's been to some major championships kind of for her age group. So I think for her, like, this is another great opportunity to kind of test herself against the likes of Georgia Hunter-Bell, who's just
what's
run.
What's that like to be, Jen, where every single training session must be like stepping almost onto a European or world or Diamond League start line? Because you've got Sarah Healy on the right of you. You've got, Georgia Hunter-Bell. Killy Hodgkinson's just sat behind you. And, that's just a name, but, a few loads of other great athletes in that group as well. So that can surely only bring you on, in terms of training, but also in terms of that mindset of going to racing.
Absolutely. And I think, like, I watch it through Instagram, what that group's like, and honestly, sometimes I look at their training sessions and I'm like, are they lining up for a race? Because
it's brutal.
You can feel like the tenseness, the anxiety, like the apprehension of what's about to come. And I think like you said, like for the element of mindset and like ability to push yourself and kind of perhaps like even like, well, if they're doing it, I can get to that position 100%. Too. Like I think for Ava, that's a amazing environment to be within. And I think
there's got to be no doubt in terms of what I'm doing in training.
It's working.
Equals that. And they are my people that I'm chasing. If I can get closer, and it must be like a progression thing in terms of day by day, week by week, month by month, in terms of just edging towards those, and the fact that they're across so many good distances as well, and they've had some good recruits come in as well. Some athletes with really good endurance. Obviously got speed there. They've got some amazing guys that dip in and out of those sessions as well. So, I mean, she's one to watch. And I think that the weekend, I think will be an interesting one, because I do think that with the M11, there does come some pressure as well to be successful as well. Yeah. Because you're
part of the M11.
So I think that she'll be looking to get on that podium. Yeah. But again, how competitive towards times and those world standards, that's going to be interesting. And some of our youngsters as well, we've got the likes of Lewis Starr going in the men's 800 metres, and then the Welsh representation vertical horizontal jumps, like of Emily Thomas, she's been there before. Reece Robinson, who's going to compete in the triple jump, Eden's sister, having set the Welsh national triple jump record.
He comes from a talented family, doesn't he?
You're absolutely right. And her mum knew something about triple jump and been to the Olympics. So again, that's probably going back to what we spoke about earlier. Obviously, Reece, that we had a really competitive triple jump at the weekend. The number of athletes over 12 metres and close 12 metres, but Reece wasn't there. So again, it would be nice that
have him in the mix, see like where he stacks up.
Yeah. So so again, so there's lots going on. Seb Clackworthy in terms of the high jump, won the Welsh title, super impressive. And then Hannah Lake, her medal winning performance at last year's championships in the women's event. So it's super exciting, isn't it?
Oh, so exciting. And especially someone like Hannah, like she had an awful injury a few years ago. I think she ruptured her Achilles taking off somewhere. So to see her back competing and obviously trying to get another medal in the championship, it's great. Yeah, it's great tough for her.
Yeah, I mean, coming back from a serious injury like she had, and remember, the GoFund page, and just to get the operation and just to come back. I mean, not many athletes come back from that.
No, I think that's a true testament to the sort of athlete she is as well, like her ability to deal with really hard times and come back and be better than ever. So I think that I enjoy watching the high jump. I think it's a fun event to watch, so I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be very competitive. And another event with a high bar to be challenged is the pole vault, isn't it, Jen?
The pole vault, and we've got two Welsh jumpers there. We've got Tom Wally and Mark Meller, who have both got the B standard for Commonwealth Games. Is this the opportunity to get that A standard?
Edging up.
And the head-to-head as well, that's so great, like to have two guys from Wales, kind of both, at the top of their game, both chasing the A standard for Con Games, I think will help bring the best out in both of them.
Well, I think Mark missed Tom at the weekend. Mark looked really good, but he got over 5 metres, but probably just needed Tom there as a bit more of a push. With those competitions, often you have to wait a fair amount of time before coming in for the opening height for Mark. I think won the competition. And so it's tough, to stay in that mindset. Obviously, it's going to be different level at the British Champs, coming in pretty much, at a high standard. And so, him and Tom being fit and healthy, if they can chase that, that A standard, it might take an A standard Welsh Commonwealth Games consideration performance to get on that podium.
Yeah, and that's literally what I was about to say. I think if you're eyeing up that, that podium finish, I think that will be close to, if not an A standard.
And then one of my favourites, I love old Patrick Swan, the big Cornish thrower, Welsh athlete for so many years on the podium, so consistent. And also look out for another UK former medalist in Gareth Winter, both in the shot put. So, there's going to be them, lots of athletes competing. And, it's going to be a busy weekend, Jen, isn't it?
It's going to be a really busy weekend. And will you be attending? As an athlete or as a coach?
I'm at Bucks. So, I'm going to celebrate Bucks. And, I might try and get down to British Champs for a bit of it as well. So it's just, as I said, it's a busy weekend for everyone. We hope our local university teams, all the success up at British universities, and all the Welsh athletes that are spread across so many different universities, across the country, and then all the athletes competing in the British Championships. Some going there to cement their places on the world team. For Tirana in Poland in March, for others going there for an amazing experience.
Yeah, so good luck to everyone competing this weekend. Enjoy it. I think that's the biggest thing I can take away from any competition is really just enjoy those sort of opportunities.
Yeah, and that Birmingham Arena is a really cool event. If you haven't been to that yet, that they can really enjoy it. And there's padded seats for spectators, so it's a good spectator venue as well.
Spectator friendly
for coaches and spectators. So so that brings to a close another episode of Beyond the Track, Jen, doesn't it? So we hope you've enjoyed. Next week we will go through, won't we, the results, what happened at the British Championships, what happened at the British universities, and what's coming up ahead of that.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with a friend, and we'll be back very soon.